25 years of marriage and you have nothing to say? I'll just say it. I slept with someone.
If you keep talking, I'm going to get out of the car.
I think the fact that I did it just shows how broken we are. Okay. How much we really... Oh, my God! Help!
Hey, Crazy Stupid Love. And they got that title right. It starts out crazy, and then it gets pretty damn stupid after a while.
And there's not much to love.
Yes.
Hey, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was on his circle there.
I was all prepared to love this movie.
You know what?
That's why I missed it.
I'll be honest. I was prepared to like it. I mean, to love it, in fact, because we've been seeing, you know what, like, we don't want to admit it. It's kind of like equality for black people. It's like,
what?
It has been getting better. Like we don't want to admit that things are better, but they are a lot
What
better.
are you turning this review into, Leon?
I know.
Let me finish my point is that, you know, we still want to go like, romantic comedies. But they've gotten a lot better than they used to be. There used to be like 5 romantic comedies in the world that I could stand to watch, and 2 of them were by Woody Allen. And now every year we get a bunch where it's like, you know what, a lot of these are shitty, but there's also some that are fun or well written or just, you know, actually genuinely touching.
Yeah.
And this one looked like, wow, with this cast and the way this trailer looks, this is like it's going to be one of the better ones. Unfortunately, no. It's so not.
It really isn't. And it's weird because it feels like it's going off the reservation, like off the set things that romantic comedies are supposed to do. It really does. You're like, wow, this is actually trying to do something different. But it's all big trick, I'm afraid, because really, in the end, it's just hiding the fact that it's going to pull out every last cliche, everything you thought, oh, they wouldn't do that. Yeah. And
you know, I'm getting annoyed with that right now because I've noticed like a few films already to where they it's like they're trying to fool the audience from the get go. This isn't going to be your typical romantic comedy. We're even going to reference the bad ones, and then at the end of the film, you're like, no, you just made the same fucking movie I've seen 20 times.
And I know what you're talking about. It doesn't do that to the extent that you're saying.
No.
Like, it doesn't reference the bad elements of a romantic comedy and then repeat the same mistakes. But this does actually deliver some. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I myself, this movie was stretching it. But I enjoyed the very beginning, like probably maybe I was gonna say half, but probably about 3/4 of this movie.
Yeah, because you were identifying with the
Ryan Gosling,
the Tucker Max character.
Yeah, I know Tucker Max. The whole time I was like,
Tucker
man.
Max.
Here's the deal, Leon. Basically, you call me an asshole, so no matter how you got it.
You own up to that qualification, though, in this specificity all the time.
And let me say, like, when there's characters in a movie that would make 90% of people who know you go like, that's you, Corey. You either love those characters or you hate them, and there's no in between.
God damn it, you got me here, man. Because I swear to God, it's not because I identify with this character. I mean, only time will tell in this review. But I will say that I love Ryan Gosling in this movie.
Got to give another player his props.
Yeah. Let a player play. You know what?
Because
That's the most realistic character I've known.
As far as players' science goes, there's no question his science is tight.
It is.
Well,
It is tight.
and you have to admit, it's like one of those things, like, as just an American, I admire anyone who does their job well. I mean, that's why we like Dexter. Sure, he's a serial killer, but he's so good at doing it.
Yeah.
Here, this guy, he's a scumbag. I admit, he's a scumbag. But wow, he has got every last variable mapped out. He can show an equation for fucking any girl who walks into a bar.
Okay, before I defend this guy.
And note that Cyrus just compared you to a serial killer.
No, he actually compared himself to a serial killer. He said he understood. So
I like Dexter better than this other character, so what does that tell you?
I like to fuck a lot. You like to kill people. I mean, come on, man. Who's the biggest scumbag?
Well,
What are you saying, Corey?
I mean, he is a white guy. They are known for their serial
Are you threatening me?
No.
I think you're threatening me.
Only if you have a fine girl by you.
Well, no chance of that.
No, let's give it some time. He might order something from a waitress, you know. Hey, girl, what's your name? But you know what? In this movie, I like to compare it to something like, oh man, what was that movie called that I do not like, and a lot of people love it? It's Love Actually, yes.
It's funny because I kept making that comparison myself.
Well, it is, whether you like the movie or not, because what happens is you have, I guess, maybe 4 different plot lines
Yeah,
that all center around love of some type, with all these characters interacting with each other. And I have to say, after watching this movie, I actually have a lot more respect for Love Actually.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like have to say, wow, I see what Love Actually got right. But in this film, you have Steve Carell and Julianne Moore, who play 40-somethings, whose marriage is starting to lose its luster and they're falling apart. They're getting a divorce. And then in the middle of that, Steve Carell runs into Ryan Gosling's character, who is a ladies' man who just happens to find the right one, as he says, the game changer. And then you have the babysitter of Steve Carell and Julianne Moore, who has a crush on Steve Carell, but Steve Carell's son has a crush on her. And now what you can see is that we probably, for this kind of movie, have too many different subplots.
Don't forget Emma Stone, who is just a random girl in a bar who Ryan Gosling tries to hook up with and fails, and then we don't see her again for an hour. And
but she also has a subplot of there's a guy that she wants to propose to her that we don't even get the feeling that she knew that long.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute, what do any of these things have to do with each other? And the film's like, just wait, because I'm going to be clever later, except it's totally not clever.
Well, and one of the reasons it feels like separate stories is because they take off on a certain set of characters for so long, you forget the other ones are in the movie.
Yeah, it's so unbalanced.
Yeah. Like one thing I liked consistently was Ryan Gosling. You're right. I thought he was great in the role. I liked his character, everything he was doing. And then he disappears for so long, I was like, oh, so I guess it's really just a cameo. Well, and then he comes back into it, I'm like, wait,
why are you?
You're telling me he's not in this movie? You're telling me he's hardly in the movie?
He's actually in it a good deal, but there's a huge. It's just so unbalanced with the way they choose to pay attention to different characters. Because like for the first 30 minutes or so of the film, it feels like it's really kind of going to be a Steve Carell Ryan Gosling film. Yeah. But then he disappears completely for another 30 minutes or so.
So the trailer bamboozled me.
Yeah, well, I mean, but he does come back into it, and like I said, that's one of those things. Like, well, we already told you what you need to know about this character.
No, the one that they really dropped the ball with on there is Emma Stone. Like I say,
my God,
they decide to bring in, make her a character, show her story. She shouldn't have a story. She should be the character that Ryan Gosling is attracted to and serve as a plot device for that. We don't need to know about her background.
It's a shame too, because she really is giving it her all in here. Yeah. And in the brief sequences when she and Ryan Gosling are actually starting to hit it off, I actually really like her in that sequence. I thought she gave it a lot of energy. It's too bad her character was written so poorly and so one-dimensionally, and she's only there to serve as a plot device. That is the only reason she's in this film, to be part of the big surprise. And I don't know if you remember or not, but I called what it was from watching the trailer. I said, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be this. And y'all were like, no, it's not.
I wasn't around for that. Otherwise, I probably would have believed it.
I'm not denying you said it. I just don't remember.
You probably said it. I just wasn't listening.
Yeah, you just never listened.
But, what's going on with this is that at the beginning, it starts out with a little more of a serious tone. Kind of like, it's not going to be a drama, but it's going to be a comedy with a fair amount of drama in it. And they seem like they're not going to exaggerate things. Things are somewhat, people can't communicate. Characters are these wild exaggerations just for the sake of telling their story, and they don't seem like they're going that route.
People are jumping out of moving cars.
Well, Steve Carell and Julianne Moore together, they seem like a real couple going through real problems, and they seem like characters who could exist in the real world, who would just happen to be going through such a stressful time that maybe they're doing some weird things. It's the moment that we start to get introduced to the babysitter that, all right, this is getting a little wacky, but still is not too silly. And then when Ryan Gosling comes along, we realize, okay, this is a fictional movie world, because no matter what guy you are, this guy is picking up girls every night at the same bar.
At the same bar.
Now, no guy could do that, but even if he could, at the bar, somebody would be like, fuck, man, you were here last night and I saw you. You're trying to pick me up? So it's like, all right.
Damn you, movie magic.
It could be.
They were standing in line. He just was like, now serving. Because they were like, fuck, that guy, did you see when he took off his shirt? Come on.
Yeah, but you know what? Even then, I'm letting it, I'm excusing that. But it gets to a point in the film where I'm enjoying the characters. And when I say the characters, the actors. I'm not so much depending on the story so much anymore. I'm just watching. But even then, they decide to do the thing of, we got to find a way to have all these characters come together. and they do this as the climax of the movie. Now, keep in mind, we haven't even mentioned other side characters. Julianne Moore, the reason why they're having problems is because Julianne Moore has just confessed that she's having an affair with a coworker who happens to be played by, hey, take a guess, Kevin Bacon, who can't play anything else but a guy who's stealing somebody's girl these days.
Wow,
That's all he does.
Yeah.
Oh no!
So
really?
we get the babysitter, the family of the babysitter, the coworker Kevin Bacon, Steve Carell, Julianne Moore, their son, and I'm sure Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling, all through some weird coincidence of the universe, just converging at the climax of this movie in the most awkward, unconvincing, shallowly written way that this movie has not stretched their limits with these characters in the story, but has broken it. They stretched it so far that it's snapped. And where this movie had any good writing before, it's almost like they said, we have to find a way to end this. We have no way to bring all these characters together. Let's just do this standard trope of having them all show up at the same place with a misunderstanding and have some kind of wacky physical slapstick comedy scene.
It's weird because I always say trailers lie, and this is one of those trailers where, for the most part, it didn't lie. It shows you exactly what's in the film. I mean, it's all the best parts, but it did lie in that it made it look like it was going to be a much better film than what it turned out to be.
It made it look like it was going to be funnier, too.
Yeah.
And the thing about this film is they're marketing it like a romantic comedy, and it really isn't. It's more of a dramedy, if anything. I mean, it's more dramatic with some kind of goofy parts. I mean, Carell is not playing Carell like you expect him to at all. I mean, he's playing the loser, but he's not playing the funny loser on the whole. Because certainly I never laughed a single time
it's like
in
they
this
can't
entire
decide
film.
how they want you to feel about him.
What the trailer does basically is it shows a slimmer film, which is what this should have been. I mean, there's so many different characters in this movie that come in. What basically, like you said, what the movie does is that it's a guy who's getting a divorce, decides to, and you know he's going to get back with his wife at some point because of the way the trailer plays out. But in the middle of that, he's going to hook up with a smooth guy who's going to teach him how to move on with his life. And by move on, he's going to teach him how to be
a player.
Play it. Pick up women to forget. In the trailer, we see Marissa Tomei is a woman that he picks up, and he's having this wacky life. And again, the movie is much more complicated than that. I mean, they have a good premise right there, and they decide to pull all these plot lines in that makes the movie way more complicated than it should be, because it's obvious that whoever wrote this film didn't know how to juggle all these characters to give them a good final act.
Well, the characters have no purpose, most of them, other than their whole subplots that we have to suffer through, serve nothing except just to build to the final wacky conclusion that is not funny or clever or believable in any way. And you're like, wow, you could cut out all the scenes with them. There's no reason for there to be the babysitter in this film. She doesn't have to be there.
I thought that too. That like when the babysitter first reveals her crush and he leaves her at home, there was no reason to bring her back.
No, you don't need
a better film would have just like left her there.
A better film would have been with your strongest points of this movie, which was Julianne Moore, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, and Emma Stone.
Yeah, it should have been really just about those four characters.
Yeah, and the reason why is because where this movie does work, for me, I'm probably going to be the most positive person about this film, because I really did like the actors in this film. And out of all of them, and you say what you will about me maybe identifying with this character, but I don't think so. I think Ryan Gosling is probably the big breakout actor here. Because Ryan Gosling lately has been doing a bunch of drama, has been doing a bunch of like heavy independent films, and now in this movie he gets to lighten up and show a side of him that hardly anybody gets to see. He does comedy in this. There's scenes where he has to take Steve Carell shopping. He's doing physical comedy, slapping him about and everything. And because of his on-screen charisma, he makes it work. Ryan Gosling I don't think Ryan Gosling has even broken out yet.
My wife is having an affair with David
Lindhagen. David Lindhagen, I know. How do I know that?
I don't know.
I'm a total stranger. How would I know something so intimate about your life? Do you want to know why I know that, Cal?
Okay.
Because it's all that I've heard, Cal, for the past 2 nights. It's all anybody's heard. You're going around and you're like badgering people with this sad sack, loser, sob story, and I don't understand why.
No, I don't need this crap.
Cal, sit down.
All right.
Look, I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. And you need to hear the truth. So, permission to speak candidly, sir.
I think you've already gone there.
You're sitting there with a supercuts haircut, you're getting drunk on watered-down vodka cranberries like a 14-year-old girl, and you're wearing a 44 when you should be wearing a 42 regular. Honestly, I don't know if I should help you or I should euthanize you. Cal, You got a kind face. You got a good head of hair. You seem like a nice guy. I want to help you. I'm going to help you rediscover your manhood. Do you have any idea, like, where you lost it?
Strong case could be made for 1984.
Now, I knew of Ryan Gosling before I knew Bradley Cooper's name at all. But if I had to say that somebody's coming up to be the next Bradley Cooper, I would say that it's Ryan Gosling.
Well, this was like Ryan Gosling's audition piece to like, I want to be a superhero.
Yeah.
You better know my name.
I know.
I want to be a superhero. Well, everybody's getting to be a superhero. Why can't I be one?
I was about to say, isn't he going to be in the Avengers movie too? At some point, did Samuel Jackson pop up?
After seeing him in this, I wouldn't be surprised because I saw this and I was like, one of the only things I'm going to remember coming out of this movie is him in it. Really, I mean, I would hate this guy in real life. He's totally shallow and self-involved, a jerk. He has no interest in anyone else really except as sort of a medical curiosity almost. But at the same time, he plays it so strong. He's so confident in the way you would expect a lesser actor would have played this role. Here, he's kind of soft-spoken about his coolness.
Right.
You know, he's very matter of fact and very like, you know, sometimes the less words spoken, the better.
Well, it's Ryan Gosling just pretty much laying down, you know, himself as putting more stock into people buying him as a leading man.
Yeah.
You know, before like
exactly.
before I said, you know, it's more of independent films that he was a leading man in. Now he's just, this is another notch for him to just be considered a mainstream leading guy. You know, this movie is what's going to actually push him to the forefront. If Ryan Gosling wasn't a household name before,
From The Notebook.
Yeah, well, from The Notebook, yes, but
only amongst a certain crowd.
yeah, but with this, it's like this is a again, not a heavy hitting drama. It's like, hey, this is a comedy. This is really going to like cement him more as that guy who can carry a film.
If anyone sees it.
Yeah, well, you know what? People, it's that kind of movie. People will see it, and I actually believe people will enjoy it. There's scenes in here where it defies the stupidity of this film. There's scenes of Ryan Gosling with Steve Carell. Steve Carell sometimes annoyed me in this movie with, because he's doing Steve Carell type of humor, which sometimes depends on him being a stupid character, playing dumb. And I think Steve Carell is too smart for me to buy that in a character. But there are moments where him and Ryan Gosling are very emotional. And those scenes really got to me. And I'm not going to say I was in there crying and shit, but I was like, I believe this. These are real people out of this movie, which is ridiculous, which for a while, I didn't think I could buy any of this. These are real characters. Now, I will tell you this much. I don't believe for one goddamn minute the whole thing about Ryan Gosling all of a sudden falling in love with Emma Stone. It's like,
Spoiler.
Well, they do show it in the trailer.
No, they show it in the trailer. Come on. He's like, he says game changer in the fucking trailer, man. Come on.
Very clear that's what happens in the trailer.
Nice try, though, my friend. But no, there's part of the movie where, he's trying to portray himself. You kind of get in the trailer like, oh, he's the reason why he's such a player and a ladies' man is because he's really lonely and he's just looking for true love. And it's like, oh, fuck that, man. I don't buy that for a moment.
Super irritating sequence where although, like I said, I liked Emma Stone in it, the only reason this whole scene is there is so they can jam a bunch of exposition about his character in a very small period so they can go, oh, see, he's actually just had a hard time in the past. So you can have any depth to his character at all. Because before he really is just this ladies' man that's likable. There's like 2 minutes where they tell you everything about his character.
Well, it's funny because that scene involves like Emma Stone is the first girl to go home with him and just talk to him. Yeah. And I'm like, bitches like to talk, all right? He
knows that.
Yeah. And it's like, come on, man. It's like, you mean to tell me out of the hundreds of girls that you brought home, none of them talked to you?
Most of them were too drunk.
That's true.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, he did have a supply of roofies in his closet.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this movie is all the characters are one or two dimensional, and they're just shallow. Most of their motivations are shallow. You got like Emma Stone. Like I found her completely unlikable. Like her character. I mean, even her best friend, who was more unlikable, at least she was kind of honest about what she was.
The problem with that is that Emma Stone, you're right. I mean, her plot line this is what irritated me. It doesn't need to make sense that she wants to marry this guy and that she wants this guy to propose to her. They only do that because they figure, well, in general, that's what women want. So, they force that in there, again, for a subplot that they don't even need. Half the things in here they don't need. But like I said, I enjoyed watching the performers in this film. And I did laugh a lot. I'll be honest. I'm on the verge of either a high rental or a low matinee. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pick low matinee for this.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
You backed him into a corner.
Who lost the
twice.
bet?
No, you didn't.
right?
No,
Who
I'm
lost the
just
bet
like,
over there?
hey, that's what I feel about
Hey, at
the
least
movie.
you're gonna get new fan artwork for Captain Matinee now.
You know what? I need some. I need a new costume. Hey, I'm calling out right now. Design a new costume for Captain Matinee.
The Black Wonder is no more. Now Captain Matinee.
Because I got my Black Wonder outfit underneath that. In fact, you can just move the M and there's a BW right under there.
Moonlighting.
Captain
Yeah.
Matinee is his parallax.
I just request them to leave the question mark there, please.
So if I may echo what Corey's saying, most of this movie is a bunch of bad cliches and bad writing, and there's one character in it who's likable, who shows up for about 30 minutes, then disappears for a long period of time, and when he comes back, you go like, oh, I forgot he was in this movie. I don't know how that still rates a matinee. I found this movie to be just what bugged me about it.
I don't figure out how Spider-Man 3 rates at full price, but I've never bothered you after all these years.
Now, come on.
Co-host, don't leave me hanging over here now.
By
Keep
your
me
logic,
out
I
of
said
this.
good things about the movie and then gave it a full price. You
Yeah.
said bad things about it and still gave it a matinee.
I'd back you up if I saw the movie,
No,
but
no,
I didn't.
hey, did I not say good things about this?
You said good things about Ryan Gosling.
No, I said good things about Steve Carell. I said good things about Julianne Moore.
Oh,
He did say good things about several different
I did.
characters.
Okay. I found this movie, other than being a huge letdown from what I thought was an excellent trailer, like, wow, as a trailer goes, it was awesome. The movie was just disingenuous. It was really trying to make you feel certain ways about characters and setting up situations that just made no sense at all. It's like, if you know anything about human motivation, none of this would play out the way it did. So you're just kind of sitting there like, man, how far are you going to go with this? And Ryan Gosling, he was awesome. I loved him. I wish the movie had been about him.
he's a great, the thing with Ryan Gosling, he's a great actor. Duh. I understand.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
He's a blonde Christian Bale.
And I'll go watch one of his other movies to see his good acting.
You got it. I mean, it's a joy to see him in this after Blue Valentine. It's like complete opposite. But is not enough in him to make this work. Oh, well, yeah. For something that started out as a dramedy and became a farce, man, it is only Ryan Gosling's stellar performance that saved it from being some old bullshit with me. It's a low rental.
Wow.
I'm right there with you on this. I thought this was incredibly tedious. When I called this earlier a chick flick, I mean in the sense that that's what their intentions are. Most of the women I know aren't stupid enough to believe what they want you to believe and the way they want you to feel about these characters. The women in this film act like insane, self-absorbed bitches, but then again, so do the guys. Everybody in this film is just out for themselves. There's nobody really to like. I mean, you can like Steve Carell if only just because you feel sorry for him, but that's really his only real positive quality through most of it. I don't know, man. There was just no touchstones for me to identify with. And yeah, I like the way Ryan Gosling chose to portray this character that was still not a well-written character. I was like, well, this is actually getting boring. Okay, it was fun for 10 minutes watching him do this, but is this all this is going to be? Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with a low rental on this one, and only because there's moments here and there throughout the film that I go, oh, that was actually a kind of a nice moment that you just immediately fucked up afterwards with something that wasn't. I wish I wish that those moments weren't there, because this feels like a film worthy of thoroughly despising and forgetting about completely. But got to give credit where credit is due.
True.
Now, I will say that this is the moment where he would call. You don't even have to see this movie because you would say some old bullshit.
Oh,
I can smell it. I can smell it right now. I'll just say it. Some old bullshit.
And if he had a title card, that might mean something.
That's why he doesn't have a title.
Don't worry. Somebody will put one up.
Well, think about it. You know what? If you're going to make title cards for him, all you need is a better than sex.
Or some old bullshit.
Yeah, that's true.
I look at the world as black and white, okay?
Why don't you just take
that's the way I'm
all
gonna
of your
keep it.
others except Matinee and just change them?
Yeah, just give him two of yours.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, get rid of all yours. Just keep Matinee, all right?
Cole's head over my face.
I don't know when you and I stopped being us. You know, when I told you that I had to work late, I really went to see the new Twilight movie by myself. And it was so bad.